Well, I like to reflect early on in my childhood, my parents, William and Leona Michael, who established a Christian home that we could thrive in, but not only in the home, but outside as we grew up and made contact with others and acquired our education through the early years, right on through college. My, my parents were very, very supportive and encouraging. And also my children, my four children, Carla, Regina, Paulette, and Rodney, they have always demonstrated a proudness in their father. Sometimes I think more than I really deserved, but nevertheless, I saw them as motivators and being proud of the things that I had accomplished. But even beyond my family, there are community people, people that I've met along the way, my students in particular, who I wanted to be a good role model for so that they could see an example for them, many of whom were first generation college students, many of whom who traveled to Fresno or lived outside of the Fresno area. And a number of us faculty served as sort of a surrogate parent. So I think my students were key in helping me to achieve the kinds of things that I've accomplished in the community.
After becoming a teenager, my mentor was my dad. He gave me my motivation and direction in terms of what I should be looking forward to and trying to be successful in whatever endeavor I chose, when I graduated from high school. Robert Logan, that was my dad, Robert Roscoe Logan. And he was the motivation factor and setting an example. His own self, setting an example for me in terms of being a devoted family man, good dad, and all that, and explaining to me that I should, early in life, choose some type of career that I might want to pursue, and that I did. Which, when I graduated from high school, I went directly into the service, and there I met many people that were mentors for me over a 6-year period. Matter of fact, basically grew up in the military, traveling and so forth. I was part of a military band. I was a musician, and I played, and quite a few mentors in that specific area of my life, which is from age 18 through about 23 or 4.
Actually, my mentor was my mother and my father. My mother was one of those people that always tell me, don't give up and don't quit. My father was a guy that believed in doing the best you can. If you're gonna do it right, or don't do it at all. So in that, those two people kind of encouraged me together. My father being my stepdad. Sometimes being stepdads are not easy, but him and I learned how to agree to disagree, and we got along pretty good. But I just want to say one thing. My whole thing is giving glory to God, because without that, I don't make it. No matter how my mom pushed me or my dad pushed me, when times got hard, I call Jesus. That's just the way I do it.
Well, other than God, of course, first person would be my wife. We left here to go to Massachusetts. She was 6 months pregnant with our third child to go to law school. And we knew no one within 1,000 miles of that place. And She's just been there for 48 years plus. Been my #1 cheerleader. She's my #1 fan. And of course, my kids and my grandkids, my church, my parents. I've just been blessed throughout my life to have good people pushing me and pulling me.
He was really his own role model. He served in the service. He served as a Mason, and he was also the first African-American police officer in Madeira. So he really had a chance to be the model. And my grandfather was a very, very strong man. He stood tall. He wasn't tall, he was about 5'7", but he stood really tall. He had all respect for everybody. So I think that a role model I will look at basically was that his father, which I never got to know my great-grandfather, but I think G.W. Sims stood on his own as far as respect. Yes, not only was he my mentor, he was my daddy, he was my grandfather. I loved him. I used to ride around in the police cars with him, and he trained German Shepherds in the backyard where he lived in Madeira, and he would take me out on some of his routes, and he would teach me little things about police work and ethics, and he was really a lot of fun. But at Christmas time, I'll never forget, and even my other siblings can tell you, is that he would not come up and say he loved us. He would give us a basket of oranges, and he would give us apples and nuts. And we said, well, Grandpa, we want a gift. He said, well, he cussed a lot. I won't tell you what he really said, but he said things like, well, you're going to get what you're going to get. So my grandfather was very firm, and he was really a loving man.
Margie believed in faith. She believed in God. She believed in prayer. She also taught me as a small child, since she was 9 years older than I am, to how to pray and stay focused on my agenda. She believed in education, so throughout my life, she set me on her lap, taught me my ABCs, my alphabet. I remember teaching me how to type when I was like 9 years old, and she's in high school, setting me down and teaching me the keys. Margie was everything you would ask an older sister to be. She was a para mother, so to speak. So when Mom and Dad were away, then Margie, she spanked you as well as hugged you and kissed you and loved you and fed you. You know, Margie would tell the younger generation to stay focused, never stop dreaming, always have a vision in life. She would want every child in the United States to accomplish their goals, whatever they may be. She would want every child to think about college at the age of 5 and not at the age of 10, 15, 20, or 30, because we believe that she was one of these people who believe that we have oppression that's within us. In order to achieve and successfully achieve and get rid of this oppression, we have to dream and focus at a very young age. She would tell young mothers to take their kids and see what college is all about at a young age, and let them at a very young age, and not ask them this, what you're going to do when you get out of high school. That's not the question. It's going to be what you're going to do when you get out of college. So at a very young age, she would have you focusing for that large picture and to focus and accomplish that goal.
First of all, I would have to say mother. Mother attended Prairie View before she married and had children, so that was a role model. And the other person was my trigonometry teacher in high school, who told me I'd be a good teacher, and I took that to heart. And she was such a great teacher, and I loved trigonometry, so that was real motivation for me. Do the best you can, be sincere, like what you're doing, and be prepared. Mother, church, community, family, Friends.
Well, I want to first thank the African American Museum for honoring me. In elementary school, I went to Lincoln, and I'm sure you know the Johnsons. Roland Johnson was my first teacher in elementary school. And I ended up with Odell Johnson, his brother, at Laney College. From there, we went to Edison High School, and I want to make it very clear that I went to Edison, West Fresno, and there I had fantastic teachers. I had a Miss Pierce, Virginia Velasquez, John Tomasian, and Frank Fletcher, my track coach. And Miss Pierce brought me into her class one day and said, I've got to talk to you, young man. And I said, well, am I in trouble? She said, no, but you're going to college. And they kept me on track. From there, I went to Fresno State, Bill Vandenberg, Dutch Wormadam, Dr. Sherling, Dr. Dunning were the educators that took care of me and made me stay in the right direction. You can do anything you want to do if you work for it. I remember sitting in Edison's auditorium, fooling around like most 10th graders do, and there was a speaker up on the stage. And I think we were half listening, and the time we weren't listening to him, we were playing around. And I think I tuned in at the right time, aside from Miss Pierce. I heard that speaker say, you can do it. And that stayed with me my whole career. And I kept saying, nothing else that he said I remembered except you can do it. And I kept saying, I can do it. I can do it. And I think young people today need to realize that they can do things if they want to take the time and put in the work.
Throughout my life, I've been motivated and inspired by many people and events, beginning with my parents. My father led by example. He was a stable influence and a role model to us throughout his life. And my mother, who was witty and well-educated, talented, and very literate, was sought after by me and many of my friends and colleagues throughout her life as a great listener, wise counsel, sometimes accompanied by a coffee or a good meal. From them, I developed my core values. Today, I'm inspired to stay involved in our community because it allows me to stay engaged with younger people who are current and future leaders of our community, to provide support and input to their efforts to make Fresno a better place. I'm inspired daily by my 7 children who have grown to be engaged, productive, community-minded citizens, and through their community involvement provided me with a wonderful legacy. I'm inspired to find joy in my life because I wake up every morning with my wife, Mary Ann, who has for many years supported and encouraged me to do what I do.
As I think about it, I should say my father, Mr. Charlie Thompson from Cuthbert, Georgia. He laid a moral foundation for each of his 8 children, and he was insistent upon doing this. Though he had only a 3rd grade education, he not insisted, but he encouraged or ingrained in each of us the desire for a college education and a productive life. I just remember that whenever he was present, our ears were bombarded with constructive sayings. He would say them over and over again, and really, as I think of them now, I think how pertinent they were. He would say things like, you can do more good by being good than any other way. A good name is better to be chosen than great riches. He would say, it is better to wear out than to rust out. Two wrongs he would never will, never did make one right. And some of the things he would say came straight from the Word of God, such as, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. And they must have worked, because my days have been long. Here I am 83 years later with these words of wisdom still very much a part of me.
I have to say my parents, they've been very supportive and they believe in me, and they when they seen my talent, they said, Jeanette, this is what you do, go for it. And they've been my backbone in playing music, and I love them dearly. What I would say is never be scared to ask questions, because that's how I learned a lot. You know, a lot of times people are intimidated when they see like Norman Brown or some celebrity. And a lot of, we're all the same people, we're all God's children, and so I mean, I'm always open to help people, and a lot of my heroes have helped me along the way, so ask questions and you could get a lot of good information. I am really honored and just, you know, in awe. You know, for me, it's wonderful to get the support from my hometown, Fresno, first of all, from the African American Museum. This means a lot, so I mean, thank you so much. This is such an honor. Thank you.
I would have to say my mentor is Dr. Steve Perry. He is the founder and principal of Capital Prep Magnet School in Hartford, Connecticut. Came into contact with him in 2007, and the words that he spoke and the passion in which he spoke with just charged my spirit to really go after children, help them achieve what we know is possible for them to achieve. And he spoke about how circumstances can't determine where children end up. And in today's society, it's always, well, they're poor, so they can't learn, or things like that. And so listening to him speak gave me the charge of look beyond their circumstance and show them their possibilities. And so that Dr. Perry has definitely, in the 7 years that we've known each other, he has definitely put that in my spirit to look beyond their circumstance and to help these children become the best that they can be. So he definitely is the mentor for me. And then motivating factors would be those very children that God has put in my care to look after, to motivate, to help, to reach their academic goals and possibilities. And it's to see it happen and to be able to be a part of something so extraordinary in a time where they're hearing children are not graduated from high school, and I'm able to be a part of a group of kids who can graduate at 100% and can go to college and can achieve their dreams and believe in themselves. It's just amazing. So every day when I go to work, that's what I'm thinking about, is those kids, and even the ones I'm not at school with, that I can touch and motivate. That's what keeps me going in this thing. It's an honor for me to be chosen to receive the Passing the Torch Award from the Trailblazers, and it means a lot because of the charge that I feel has been placed on my life to help children, to put their futures in front of them so they can move forward and to do things, because that's what was done for me. Many of the Trailblazers that are being honored tonight were, you know, people that I looked up to, that charged me to do better, to be good in everything that I did. So to be able to receive the torch, it's almost like a confirmation that I have done exactly what they've asked of me, and now it is my job to prepare the next generation. And hopefully in this generation there will be another opportunity to pass the torch to another student or another the next generation that's coming up. So I'm just honored to be able to accept this award from those that felt that I was doing what I was supposed to be doing. So I can only hope that I continue to do those things, to be positive, and to be a contribution to my community.